Next on at the Wilderness Week in the Asia session is Swanand Oak, who is a freelancer working in the wine industry. However, he's very passionate about wildlife, having been a self-taught wildlife photographer and a birder residing in the city of Pune. He'd like to talk to us today about the nesting behavior of the coppersmith barbet. So the floor is yours, Simon. Sorry, we can't hear you. I think you're.
Am I audible?
Yeah. Now it's good.
Okay, great. First of all, very big thank you for the European Wilderness Society for giving this wonderful opportunity. As you mentioned about me, I'm not a research scientist or a professional, researcher in the field of wildlife, but my passion for birding took me these 5-6 years to study a great deal of birds and conservation, and thus I started small conservation projects in my city. So, shall I start my screen sharing?
Please do.
Okay, is it visible?
Yes. If you'd like to make it full screen.
Yeah, sure. So basically, the objective behind this project was to find out more about the nesting behavior of the coppersmith barbet. The coppersmith barbet, or also known as the crimson-breasted barbet, is a very common barbet species found in subcontinent of India as well as Southeast Asian countries. The coppersmith barbet can be found in mostly all of the seasons, but not many people have been able to record the chick behavior or the eggs hatching and all the nesting, the nesting practices that the adults follow for the chicks. So this project actually came unanimously in the lockdown period during our COVID pandemic, and thus I was lucky enough to record this one family of coppersmith barbet through my living room window. So basically, it was a project that I did at home. So I decided to observe the barbet every day for about a month or about approximately 6 weeks, and thus I figured out how the adult barbets raise their chick towards juvenile or sub-adult stage. So beginning with it, basically, obviously the key points. The barbet is a small green bird with the size of a sparrow or greater than a sparrow. Field characters generally include heavy build, grass green color, crimson breast and forehead, yellow throat, a green streaked yellowish underparts. On the right hand side, you can see one of my photos that I clicked during the observational period. The barbet is very famous for its loud and monotonous call, which rings as a tuk tuk in long runs. The call represents the sound of a coppersmith hammering on the metal. So you can just relate to how the call sounds to your ears. It is a very monotonous call, and you can hear for a long period, like 1 minute or 1.5 minutes at a time. It usually consumes fruits and berries of the banyan and people figs, but it also feeds upon small insects, especially winged termites. What I observed through my project was that the barbet's nesting period is between January and June, and it lays about 2 to 3 eggs at a time. So basically, the project, that is the nesting behavior of the coppersmith barbet. The project overview includes the details of the species and how did I go with the project. That is, the location was my city, of course. Duration March to April. Observation timings, I decided to record the barbet in the most peak period of the day, that is during the early mornings and late afternoons. Basically, early mornings the birds go out for food and feed their chicks accordingly, as well as late afternoons when also they tour around the area for food. Observations were definitely on a daily basis, but I was like updating every record or every change in the chick or every change in the nesting behavior of the barbet every week. So that is, in a period of 7 days, I used to record one change. Equipment, definitely a Nikon D5600 camera with a birding lens and a tripod. So these are the most basic observations. So I started with week one, and what was the changes that took place throughout the whole project. The barbet chick has adult plumage and whitish throat. The male and female do the feeding part simultaneously. In most of the birds, not all males do the feeding part, but in barbets you can find that both the sexes do the feeding part simultaneously. That is taking turn by turn. and the beak in the chick is not developed. Week 2, the chick has developed brighter colors than before and voluntarily gives a call to its parents for food. So you can see the progression from the chick from developing a plumage to giving out voluntary calls for food. So the barbet parents or the barbet adults are in the same area and they definitely reply to that voluntary calling. The breast spots have also developed. Now, speaking of the breast part is a definite, what is a significant part of the coppersmith barbet. It defines if it is a male or female. We will come to that later. And during the week 2 period, the sex differentiation was not possible for the chick. During week 3, the chick's beak was more sharper and the instinct to peck is more rigorous. As you can see in humans, that most of the babies, when they start growing teeth, they want to chew something or want to nib something out. So this also happens in birds as well. And I was able to observe it in the barbet. The chick's beak is sharper and he decides, he or she, whatever it is, the sex was not significant yet. So he pecking the parent's stomach or pulling out the adult's feathers during the feeding routine. This can be seen more often, and it also gives a voluntary call for food. So on the right hand side of the photo, on the PPT, you can see the photograph of the coppersmith barbet female, which is perching on the nest. You can see at her legs the hole is here, which is the nest. So inside about 1.5 feet of a hollow tree device, and the chick is inside. So this is the most significant photograph. You can see the barbet's mouth and beak. The beak is slowly developing and the female is feeding him with banyan tree berries. So this is how the plumage starts developing along with time and food nutrition as well. So during week 4, the chick has developed a faint whitish cap on its head. As you can see for the female here, there's a red cap, which is the most significant part of the barbet as well. And the chick has not developed it yet. So when it grows to a sub-adult stage or grows to adult stage, it will start developing that red color. Still not sure of the gender, definitely, because I was not able to access that tree from the distance, and due to the COVID pandemic, it was not possible to go near the tree as well. I was confined to my home, and there is also no indication of flight training yet. There's no, the parents have not started yet training its chick for flight and flying the training as well. Week 5, during the 5th week, the colors had developed faintly for the barbet chick. So it was growing that greenish plumage and a slow bit of a grayish cap and the yellowish near the, and also near the supercilium, the colors had started developing here, the yellowish color here. So growing to adult stage, it will be more brighter. And week 6, no activities was spotted at the nest. So basically, week 6 was a very tough situation for me because I was not able to spot the chick at all. There was no activity for the whole week, and I was only able to spot the female or the male in that area. And very rarely or on very rare occasions during the late afternoons, I was able to see the chick. So I was not sure whether the chick is still alive or it has died or it has left the tree or somebody had predated on the chick, like some raptors or the eagles or anything like that. So no sign of the chick for next few days. So definitely that period came to an end, the actual project. But what was I able to deduce from it? Now these are the two photographs. You can see the female feeding the barbet and the barbet chick, and on the right hand side here's the mid aerial food that is going upon. Like the chick is totally stretching its whole body to consume that food. I will just show you an audio clip where you can hear the monotonous ringing of the barbet. I hope it's audible. So you can see the monotonous ringing that is like striking a metal with a hammer. So this is the significant call of the coppersmith barbet species. And the male and female have the same monotonous voices, but I haven't personally studied the difference between the two sexes or the two voice modulations of the male or the female. So I can guarantee you this is the common call that a barbet gives for food or anything related to that. Just a moment. Yeah, so this is a short video clip of the female feeding the chick. It's just a very short, like about 10 seconds. So Let's see it. So at this point, you can see the chick is more aggressive towards the female. Like it's ready to peck or pull the feathers out. So here you can see it's pecking out the feathers of the stomach. Like the barbet chick is trying to, the senses for the beak is has more developed, and it wants to peck at something or just nibble out something. So here the female backs off and she flies away to bring some another food. So this was what I was talking about, that is developing the beak senses for the chick, the barbet. So for once again we will watch the video so we can understand it more clearly. So highlights. So basically what was I able to take out from this record was sexual dimorphism. Sexual dimorphism is a very tough situation to find out in coppersmith barbets. There are many other bird species where it is different, where it is difficult to observe the male is different from the female or the female is different from the male. But in barbets, this was possible for me because I was able to observe the male and female together. So having the two sexes together at one single place was easier for me to figure out who's the male or who's the female. But if you see the individual at a different place, or you can see only the female or the male, it is very difficult to observe that whether it's a male or a female. But the thing about this project was I was able to observe them together, so it was easier for me to deduce that which is the male or which is the female. So it's difficult to identify the sex if the bird is seen as an individual, as I spoke earlier. Differences in sexes can be observed if the pair is seen together, definitely. So the male barbet has brighter colors than the female. That has a red cap, which is very significant, sharp red color, and yellowish pattern on the breast. So basically, there's a red collar kind of thing, and there's a yellow color starting right under the collar, and you will see the sharp outlined thing here, which defines that it's a male. It has brighter colors. Definitely, every bird species, the males have a brighter colors. The female also has a vivid red cap, definitely. The female also has the same colors. However, the pattern downwards from the throat fades away to the chest, unlike the male, which has sharp patterns. So you can tell a female from a male just by observing the faded pattern. If the colors are faded or merging into each other at a singular point of time, then you can say that it's a female. So if you can see my previous photographs, uh, just a moment. Yeah, here you can see a red color and a white yellowish color down here. I was not able to take another angle because of the restrictions of my window. So but here the colors can be seen faded, so definitely it's a female. But if you observe a male, these colors are very sharp and vibrant and bright. So that's the major point that denotes the sexual dimorphism in coppersmith barbets. So this was really a great output or that defining sexual dimorphism is also possible if you observe the two species or the sorry observe the same species but the male and female together after after 6 weeks. Basically, as I spoke earlier, there was no sign of the chick or the juvenile coppersmith barbet, and I believed that it was dead or maybe it was predated upon by other raptors. And so, after a period of like 8 to 9 weeks, I observed another individual near the same nesting hole, and I spotted this individual there. So basically, it's the same chick that has grown to an juvenile stage. So this is a juvenile coppersmith barbet, and yet we can't define the gender because there is no reddish pattern or yellowish pattern on the chest, as well as it has not developed any red cap on its head. So we can't deduce that if it's a male or a female unless we do some laboratory test or DNA test or something like that. That is scientific agenda or anything like that. So I was lucky enough that the same chick uh, was there. He was alive basically, he or she, and I was happy for that that it was alive. So I was able to record this. So after my project finished, I joined this whole observation of the juvenile coppersmith barbet. And so basically, at this moment, my project became a huge success, and obviously, lots of people appreciated. And I'm lucky that in this lockdown period, I was able to record these great observations and this great nesting behavior of the coppersmith barbet. So, yeah, thank you so much.
thank you very much for your presentation on the coppersmith barbet, Swanand. Very, very nice photography and filmography that you put in your presentation there.
Just a moment, I'm not able to see the camera.
No problem.
Just a moment. Yeah, okay.
All good? Great. Yeah, thank you very much for your presentation. There's some really stunning photos.
Thank you
and,
so much for the
films in
great
there.
opportunity. So if anybody has any questions, definitely you can shoot it up.
Yep. So I have a question myself. Does the coppersmith barbet, is it native to Pune, or is it also found in other areas of India?
Sorry, can you repeat it?
The coppersmith barbet, is it native to just Pune, or is it found in other areas of India as well?
No, the whole subcontinent of India, as well as some Southeast Asian countries. Definitely the subspecies of the coppersmith barbet vary from country to country. Like you will not find the same barbet in Malaysia or the same barbet in Sri Lanka, but there's a slight variations in color or slight variation in sizes. But this coppersmith barbet that I worked upon is found all over India, as well as some parts of Pakistan, some parts of Sri Lanka, the Lakshadweep Islands, and also going south towards Indonesia, Malaysia, and all those areas. So it's definitely a very common species, but the nesting behavior is not observed on a regular basis because it's hard to spot them because they are large, huge on the heights of trees and all the green camouflage and all that. So I hope this was one of the few records that I was able to record among other people who did the same project. I don't know who have done it, but I think this is one of a great observation that I was able to discuss, and I hope this will help for the wilderness conservation or the conservation of the barbet species as well.
Yeah, with regards to the coppersmith barbet, it's obviously found in wilderness areas, right? Is it also found
Yeah.
in city areas? Is it a generalist or more so a specialist, would you
No,
say?
it has adapted to the city areas as well. You can, but it will not nest on urban structures or any buildings. But it is definitely can be seen around a crowded city streets or any building skyscrapers or something like that. But it prefers the trees for its nesting. So there's no such thing as it will be only found in natural places or natural habitats. But definitely you can see them around your buildings. Because the one I worked upon was outside my living room window. So this is the kind of adaptation that it has done with human population or the human structures.
So it's very much a bird that has adapted to the urban landscape, right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So in your other work, do you also go into nature and the wilderness and take photographs and observe birds there as well?
Yes, definitely. I've been working in the field of photography and birding for about 5 to 6 years, and I'm working in the city for the conservation of the natural habitats here, also for the conservation of raptors, especially that is all the raptor species residing and migratory to Pune. And currently, me and my team of passionate birders or passionate photographers, we are working together on a new project regarding the conservation of raptors in our area. And so basically, uh, despite of not having any professional degree or professional experience in the field of wilderness, we are proud to have contributed a lot to this field of wildlife and photography. And so I hope it's a huge success and many more people join us for nature conservation and environment conservation. Yeah, that's it.
That's great. Thanks for your presentation, also your answer to my questions. It's very nice to get a insight firsthand from someone who sees these birds on a frequent basis of how the coppersmith barbet develops and grows and lives in its habitat. So thank you very much for that presentation, Swanand.
Thank you so much.